my dear students, how are you? I hope all are good. Today let us start SST chapter number 10, New Empires and Kingdoms. The Gupta age is considered the golden age of ancient Indian history. तो जो गुप्त एज थी, जो गुप्त काल था, तो प्राचीन काल का सबसे सुनहरा काल था वो, ठीक है. The period between the decline of the Kushanas and the rise of the Gupta is called the Dark Age. So we will talk about Chandragupta I. Chandragupta I was the real founder of the Gupta dynasty. He ruled over India from 320 to 355. So he was the first Gupta king who was assumed the title of Maharajadhiraj. He ruled over Patliputra when he came to the throne. Magda was the only territory he ruled. He married the लिच्छवी प्रिंसेस, लिच्छवी की राजकुमारी थी कुमार देवी, ठीक है, उससे उसने शादी की. विद द हेल्प ऑफ द लिच्छवीज ही वाज एबल टू एक्सटेंड हिज एम्पायर ओवर साकेत, द रीजन ऑफ अयोध्या, प्रयागराज, इलाहाबाद एंड मगध. Samudragupta. Samudragupta was the son and successor of Chandragupta I. He defeated many territories of India and added them to his kingdom. So therefore, he is known as the Indian Napoleon. Unlike Napoleon, however, he was never defeated in battle. Thus, he can be said to be even greater than Napoleon. Conquest of Samudragupta. He was one of the greatest rulers of the Gupta dynasty. He was chosen by his father to succeed him. As soon as he became king, he proceeded on a long campaign which brought him many victories. First, he defeated northern India and added Delhi and Uttar Pradesh to his kingdom. So he fought against a number of kings in the Deccan and southern India, such as those of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. समुद्रगुप्त डिफीटेड मैनी किंग, है ना, बहुत से राजाओं को उसने हराया ईस्टर्न इंडिया में. ही सेट आउट अगेंस्ट द फॉरेस्ट ट्राइबल ऑफ द साउथ. सो द ट्राइबल्स ऑफ द साउथ एक्सेप्टेड हिज रूल एंड प्लेस्ड लॉयल्टी टू हिम. ही देन triumphed over 9 tribal republics of Rajasthan. He marched further west and north. The Saka and Kushanas kings also agreed to pay tribute. So the power of Samudragupta extended beyond India. The king of Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia regularly paid tribute to the Gupta emperor. So the Gupta empire was mainly confined to northern India. A great personality. Samudragupta was not only a great conqueror, he was also a great scholar, a poet and a lover of music. Samudragupta had a keen interest in art and learning. He himself was a good poet and musician. In one of his coins, he is shown playing a veena. So, though he was a Hindu, he showed respect towards other religions. He was also a patron of learning. So, he worshipped Lord Vishnu. Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II is known as Chandragupta Vikramaditya. He was the son of Samudragupta. In 380 AD, he ascended the throne. So, he extended the boundaries of his empire by matrimonial alliances and other conquests. He married a Nag princess. His first military achievement was his victory over Bengal. So, but his greatest victory was the one over the 3 provinces of Western India, Malwa, Gujarat and Kathiawar. He assumed the titles of Vikramaditya, the son of bravery and Pavan, and Sakri, the enemy of Sakas, after defeating the Saka chiefs. He maintained friendly relations with the king of the Deccan and South. So, Fayan, the Chinese traveler, visited India during the reign of Chandragupta II and left a comprehensive account of life the Gupta Empire. Okay, so achievements of Chandragupta Vikramaditya. क्या-क्या achievement थे उसके? Chandragupta II was a patron of literature and arts. Kalidas was the greatest literary figure of this age. He developed trade relations with China as well as with Rome and Egypt. He issued a large numbers of coins which speak about the prosperity of the Gupta Empire. Being Hindu, he always worshipped Lord Vishnu, but he allowed his people to have their own religious belief. Administrations of Chandragupta II. Find the Chinese pilgrim has written about the efficient administrations of the Gupta Empire. The Gupta dynasty produced a number of able rulers. They established an efficient administration system. There were three levels of administrations. Okay, central administration, provincial, and local. The king carried titles like Maharaja Dhinaj. The minister was selected on the basis of their personal qualities. Okay, several ministers were recruited to assist the king in administrative tasks like Minister of Justice, Minister of War and Peace, etc. Now, provincial administration, what is it? The empire was divided into several provinces called Uparika. Each province was headed by a governor known as Uparika Maharaja. The provinces were further divided into districts called Vaishyas. The head of the district was known as Vaishyapati. The persons who had position of authority were Pratham Kayastha. Local administration. The village continued to be the basic unit of administration. Each village was under a village headman known as Gramika. So his duty was to enforce the law and to maintain peace. तो उसकी क्या ड्यूटी होती थी कि कानून को मानो और शांति बनाए रखो. He was assisted by a village council comprising the elders of the village. So the Nagarpati, with the help of Parishad for the council of citizens, carried on as administration in towns and cities. New system in army. During this period, the system of giving land grant prevailed. It had started during the Satvahana period and gradually became a practice. So earlier land grants were given only to the priestly class, but later on it was provided to bureaucrats also in lieu of their salary. So Samantas, a class of landlords, were the result of increasing land grants. They acted as intermediaries between the king and the peasants. So they were assigned to collect revenues, to maintain soldiers and horses, and to provide equipment for warfare. So the king maintained a regular army. Samantas also provided the king with troops whenever he needed. Trade and commerce. During the Gupta, people progressed in every field: trade, commerce, manufacture, science, medicines, mathematics, astronomy, art, and architecture, language, and literature. In international relations and diplomacy, India's name and fame spread in all directions. So, the Gupta issued coins in gold. This showed the economic prosperity of this period. है ना कि उस टाइम की अर्थव्यवस्था कितनी अच्छी थी, ये शो करती है. Trade and commerce, both internal and external, flourished. There was a network of good roads that connected the major cities. India was prosperous and politically stable. Science. Great progress was made in the field of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. The Gupta's age, therefore, was called as an age of science. Aryabhatta and Varahamihir both were astronomers and mathematicians. Aryabhatta declared that the earth moves around the sun. तो ये आर्यभट्ट ने बता दिया था कि जो पृथ्वी है वो सूर्य के चक्कर लगाती है. He wrote two famous books, Aryabhatya and Surya Siddhanta. So Brihad Samhita, written by Varahamihir, deals with astronomy and mathematics. There were mastersmiths during the Guptas who had profound knowledge of metals. They made experiments in mixing metals to make alloy. So the iron pillar at Mehrauli is proof of that. Social and religious condition. Fine gave a lot of information about the social condition of the people. During the Gupta age, society was divided on the basis of the four varn. चार वर्णों में divided था हमारा समाज. The Brahman were highly respected. Slavery was prevalent in the Gupta age, but not in any rigid form. Untouchability continued to be practiced rigidly. The joint family continued to be the backbone of Hindu society. So the practice of sati was becoming a practice among the royal families. Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh were worshipped at that time because the kings were the followers of Hindu religion. Shiva was worshipped in his many names, example Kailashnath, Lokeshwara, Trilokeshwara, etc. So many temples were built in the kingdom. People performed Vedic yajnas. Other religions including Buddhism and Jainism were also adopted. So they also built Jain temple. Buddhism was in decline but had not quite disappeared. Decline of the Gupta Empire. India was threatened from the north by a race of nomadic people known as Hunas in the 5th century, and repeated invasions of the Hunas weakened the Gupta Empire to such an extent that the provincial governors had no difficulty in breaking away and becoming independent. So the Gupta dynasty came to an end with the death of Vishnugupta in 550 AD. Harshvardhan and Harshcharita. A new kingdom arose at Thanesar near Kurukshetra, Haryana in the 7th century, about 100 years after the end of the Gupta era. It was also the birthplace of Harshvardhan, who is known better in history as Harsh. He came to the throne after the death of his brother in 606, and he is the last great Hindu emperor of northern India. He died in 647 AD. Sources. There are two important sources which give us information about Harsh and his achievements. So the first important source is the Harshcharita, which was written by his court poet Banbhatta. So Harsh himself took intense interest in art and literature. He wrote 3 Sanskrit plays, Ratnavali, Priyadarshika and Nagananda. The second is the travel account of the Chinese pilgrim Yun Tisang, who visited India during the reign of Harsha. Kannauj was a central place, and hence Harsh shifted his capital from Thanesar to Kannauj. With the help of his large army, he conquered many parts of northern India, including the Punjab, eastern Rajasthan and the Ganga Valley as far as Assam. He led a powerful army against the king of the Deccan. But he was stopped by the Chalukya king Pulkesin, Sect 2 of Vatapi or Badami in Karnataka. As a result, Harsh had to return without success in mission. Okay, Banbhat has said that Harsh was totally changed after this setback. So the dimension of Harsha's empire was similar to that of the Gupta. It extended from the Arabian Sea to the Bay of Bengal and from Kashmir to Narmada. His greatest achievement was the political unification of a large part of India. So the subdued king paid him tribute and sent him soldiers when he was at war with others, but they continued as rulers of their kingdoms. Religious beliefs of Harsh. It is believed that Harsh adopted Buddhism. It made a great efforts to popularize it, but he still respected other faiths. So Harsh met Yun Tisang and had a long discussion with him. So he used to hold a religious assembly every 5th year at Prayag. So where he liberally distributed grants and alms to saints of all religions. Yun Tisang was a Chinese traveler who wrote a book which contained lots of information about Harsh reign. So the dress of the people varied from region to region. So Yun Tisang described the Indian people as hot-tempered but honest. थोड़े hot tempered होते हैं but ईमानदार होते हैं. The people were very particular about cleanliness. He found the Buddhism was on the decline. It was popular in Eastern India. He spent many years at the Nalanda University. It was a leading university of the time. Students flocked from all parts of Asia to this university. After Yun Tisang's visit, Harsh sent a mission to China, which established the first diplomatic relations between China and India. The decline of Harsha's empire. Harsh was a great king. He died in 1647. After his death, there was much confusion in the country. Why? because no one could keep the empire united. कोई भी जो है उसको अपने जो एम्पायर बना हुआ था उसको यूनाइटेड यानी कि एकजुट नहीं रख सकता था. द किंगडम ब्रोक अप इनटू मेनी स्मॉलर यूनिट्स व्हिच कीप फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट ईच अदर. आपस में ही लड़ने लगे थे. द पल्लवास रूलर्स ऑफ द डेक्कन. द पल्लव वर द ऑफिसर्स ऑफ द Satvahana period. After his decline, the Pallav established an independent kingdom of their own. So they made Kanchipuram their capital. They fought prolonged wars against the Pandyas and the Chalukyas. They conquered the land to the south of Kanchipuram, Tanjore and Pudukkottai region. So Mahendravarman was a famous king of the Pallav dynasty. He ruled at the same time as Harsh and Pulakes too. The Pallavas has a very strong navy and they also built several dockyards. The Chalukya. Pulakeshin II was the best known king of the Chalukya dynasty. We know about him from a Prashasti which was composed by his court poet Ravi Kirti. He ruled in the south at the same time as Harsh in the north. So he was an ambitious ruler and wanted to control the whole of the Deccan Plateau. So he fought a battle against Harsh on the banks of the river Narmada. He fought bravely and finally defeated Harsha, demoralizing him badly. The capital of the Chalukya was Aihole, which was regarded as a flourishing city. The Chalukyas had trade relations with Iran, Arabia and Red Sea ports in the west and also with the kingdom of Southeast Asia. So the Chalukyan kings were great patrons of art. They gave money liberally for the building of temples and cave shrines in the Deccan Hills. We find specimens of sculpture or Ellora. The credit for these masterpieces of art goes to the Chalukyan kings. Administration. Almost all administrative units were set up in the villages. In connection with the management of village affairs, various types of committees were formed. Some of these were Sabha, Yurserur, etc. All of the village committees. So the Sabha was considered the most important. The Sabha was an assembly of Brahmin landowners. Besides, several subcommittees were formed to complete all the different tasks of a Sabha. So the task of looking after irrigation, sanitation, agricultural production, temples, roads, etc. was assigned to these subcommittees. So the assembly of non-Brahman villages was known as, you are in this assembly. So matters important to a village were discussed by the local residents. The assembly of mercantile groups was known as Nagram. It is believed that village assemblies enjoyed full powers in the management of rural affairs. So many of these local assembly continued to function for centuries. Okay. So the all topics are covered in this chapter here. I hope you all are very well understand this. Okay. So we will meet you the next class. Thank you.